Hi everyone. So, it's Sunday morning. It's about 10 after 12. So, it is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there who's a mommy. I know I haven't made any videos in the last few days. It's been a hectic week. I've been very here goes my camera again. I've been somewhat busy with helping out my grandmother and getting things done at home and so on and so forth. And of course, you got Mother's Day, so I had a lot of things I had to get done, because I had a package sent to North Carolina, and of course I got Grandma here. So, wait a minute. Ow. But in the meantime, I was able to keep up with my my YouTube and my Facebook and all my emails. So, what I found interesting was, I don't know how, but I somehow became a subscriber to this girl named, I think her name's Andrea, and her channel page is AndreasChoice. So she did a video. It was actually a two-part video of her school experience, and I watched a good portion of it, not all of it, but I watched a very good portion of it, and I figured, why don't I do it? Because she's probably younger than me. I'm 30 years old, and she's probably younger than I am. So she's probably been in school where, at the time that all this YouTube and Facebook and everything was coming out. So I figured, you know what? Maybe I'll just go ahead and give you guys my story, because elementary and middle school, we didn't have, we had computers, but we didn't have internet, and we didn't have YouTube, and not even when I was in high school. I graduated in class of 98, and basically, we didn't, the internet had just started coming in too, but like I said, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have, things like MySpace, but maybe if I can tell my story, maybe it'll change some people's lives. As to, if they're being bullied, maybe they'll understand that they're not alone. If they're the bullies, maybe they'll, maybe there's a small chance that they'll understand what they're doing is, not a great thing. So I don't know if I've told you, but when I was growing up, I lived in a primarily small town in New Jersey. I lived in Wharton, and it has its own school district. Basically, it's a middle school, elementary school and middle school that at the time they were, they're still a connected building, but it was a lot smaller than it is now. So basically, when I started school, a lot of the teachers that I had my mom and my uncles. We had Mrs. Munzel was my kindergarten teacher. She had, I think, one of my uncles and my mom. Mrs. Coe was first grade, but she was too young. She obviously didn't. Second grade, I actually split in between two schools. At the beginning of second grade, I went to another school district because we had moved. But at the end of the second school year, I was back in Wharton. And back then, I had Mrs. Myers. I don't remember if she had them or not. But anyway, third grade, Mrs. Altman. Fourth grade, Mrs. Sachs. Fifth grade, Mr. McCoskey. And then 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you pretty much had, different teachers for different subjects. It was basically you're getting ready for high school. So, when I was, I was young and already developing. I was like, oh God, by the time I was in third grade, I was wearing a B cup to maybe even a C cup at the time. And, you had the boys make rude jokes about, oh, do a jumping jack, or, you probably stuff your shirt for attention, and, it was just horrible. And, that's when it pretty much all started, was third grade. And that's when my grades had started really slipping. I had my good areas in school, but a lot of it I just didn't care for. So, you know, fourth and fifth grade, you know, you're in your single classroom for all your studies, but you know, you're in such close proximity to people that you just, you know, a lot of people you may like, but, you know, there's quite a few that you may not like. So you really had to be careful where you were and who you sat with, and you just hope that if you had assigned seating, you didn't have to sit next to a certain person. But, you know, a lot of times I was lucky enough. So when I got into middle school, you know, I had some friends, and, you know, I had people I got along with, but then, you know, you got to the point where there's always that one certain point in school where everything just starts to turn around. I was friends with this girl, her name was Kathy, and we had been friends for quite a few years. I mean, you know, we always hung out at lunchtime, or, you know, we always talked, or, you know, always shared our lunches, and, you know, did each other's homework, and, you know, all these kinds of crazy things. So up until maybe about 7th grade, you know, like I said, we were friends, and then 7th grade came when, you know, we started out the year great. You know, went through Christmas, you know, and exchanged gifts. And then towards the end of 7th grade, I don't know, something happened with a mutual, well, shouldn't really say it was a mutual friend. It was really her friend, but, you know, we kind of became acquainted. And something had happened that, you know, this boy that I was talking to or seeing or dating, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, in 7th grade, you know, we stopped talking because we had a fight, and then he started wanting to date this girl, and, you know, her name was Jackie. So he had wanted to start dating this girl Jackie, and I guess she thought maybe I was pissed because, according to her, I was giving her dirty looks, and I was pissed off, and I was being mean, and I was this, and I was that. So ultimately, I became the bad person in the situation, and I was the girl that they wanted to beat up. I was the girl that was talking about them, and you know, so on and so forth. You know, I was always the girl that was always starting trouble. Which wasn't true. I always kept my mouth shut because I was never one for confrontations. I was never the one that had any of the fights. I never got into a fight at all in school or in high school. So, last day of 7th grade, they actually wanted to jump me. And luckily enough, when I noticed this, you know, I started walking, and they started following me. You know, it only took me about 5-10 minutes to walk home. But I'm not even a couple minutes away from school, and I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna jump me. So luckily I came across my across the street neighbor at the time, and because she was picking up her kids from school, who sometimes I used to walk home, and I was like, you know, there's something going on. I think these people are going to jump me. I said, I know you're probably going somewhere else, but can you just please give me a quick ride home? So she gave me a ride home, which was great. And, you know, I thought it was all over with. But then I found out, yeah, they were really going to jump me for whatever reason, which I just didn't make sense. So, you know, 8th grade came, and I can't really say it went smoothly, but it was a little bit easier because, you know, we were the oldest class. You know, 8th grade is the oldest class in middle school, and, you know, you have to really set, you know, some examples for the 2 younger classes. So it kind of went off without a hitch. You know, I had a couple of bumps here and there. But come the last day of 8th grade, I was like, oh my god, I'm going into high school, and I really don't want to. I could only imagine what was waiting for me there. So high school came, and, you know, I had my few friends from school. You know, I mean, when I was in middle school, you know, I became friends with Janie because she transferred into school in the middle of 6th grade. You know, so I was friends with her. I was still friends with Kathy at the time. You know, I had friends here and there, but a lot of them had moved. Janie ended up having to go to another high school because of where she had lived, according to district rules, which made no sense, but whatever. So, I went into high school. I had a few friends from middle school still left. Like I said, a couple people moved. Janie went to another high school. So, it comes time to make new friends. There's 3 different towns that go to, or should I say, no, this is where 2 towns go, and the other 2 go to Mars Hills. Mars Hills is where I went to. I think it was, I want to say Wharton and Rockaway Borough. I don't know. Anyway, so you get into high school, start making friends, and that's when you really start to learn who you are and develop as a person, and hope that something good will come out of it. So freshman year started out okay, and then it just got progressively worse. I mean, I had people tell me things like, oh, you must be a prostitute, those things aren't real, claiming my boobs weren't real, that I paid for them, with the money that I made from prostitution, and I had STDs, and I had HIV, and I had AIDS, and I would sleep with people for money, or I would sleep with people for favors, and it was just, somehow I always became the center of attention. Oh, you know what? Let me tell you a quick story. Back to middle school. I was in school one day, and this kid comes up to me, who was actually a friend of mine. His name was Rich. He comes up to me, he goes, I need to talk to you about something. I'm thinking, okay. Who wants to beat me up now, or who said something, or what's going on, or does he need help? Something going on with him. So my mind is going. So he pulls me aside. He's like, look, I want to be the one to tell you, because I don't know if you know this. I said, all right, what is it? He goes, somebody took a black magic marker and wrote on the street sign your name and number. I said, are you serious? He goes, I'm serious. Would I ever lie to you? I said, no. But at that time, I really didn't believe him. I mean, who would go ahead and do something like that, right? So, I just let it go, because I was like, there's no way. So, one day I'm driving down the road with my mom and my sister, and I think my mom's boyfriend at the time. And I look at a street sign, and all of a sudden I see my name and a phone number. And oh my God, my world just got crushed that day. I was like, why? What did I do? What have I done to deserve this? Needless to say, there's really not much you can really do about it. I don't know if my mom noticed, but if she did, she didn't say anything to me. And a few weeks later, we're going down the same road. We passed by the same sign, and I see underneath somebody else had written, already did it, as if, they already called me, for a good, because basically what the sign says, if you want a good time, call Michelle at this number. So somebody wrote underneath, already did. And it was bad. It was horrible. So, that was my middle school. That's the one middle school story. So freshman year, this guy who I thought was a sophomore or junior, I found out was a senior, had asked if, I wanted to hang out one day. So we hung out, and, we talked for a long time, and we actually made out. I mean, nothing heavy, just kissing, and that's it. And it turns out that, number one, he did it, he basically met up with me on a dare, and 2, he went back and he told everybody that we slept together. And we didn't. We really didn't. So, he turned out to be an asshole, because, excuse my language, but that's basically what he was. He turned around and just turned into somebody that was the complete opposite of what I met. And hold on, I'm gonna go look up his name. I'll tell you what his name was, because he was a jerk.